Hey everybody. Today we've got three things to look at. Let's take a look at this shot from Erica. So I gave some feedback last time, and I think it's working a lot better than before. I feel like it's more clear where the sources are coming from, but I had a couple suggestions to maybe even clarify even further where things are coming from. So I think the main thing that I have with this shot is that I'm getting a little bit confused as to where the sources feel like I'm not quite understanding where the light is coming from. Um, I feel like, at first I thought that all this warm was coming from supposedly a lamp off of the screen on the table that you're feeling here, but you were saying that you also have orange, or not orange, warm ceiling lights, which makes more sense why we're seeing, it's so warm up here. But it is throwing me off a little bit because I'm not feeling that on the wall or anything like that. It's only on him. So it's like, feels a little bit odd that, this room is so bright, but and then the room is cool, right? Like the light hitting the walls is cool light, but only he is getting a warm light. So I think that's the disconnect that I'm feeling here. What I would actually suggest, I took some screenshots here, so let's just go through the frames one by one. This one I think is working. Maybe this feels a little bit too bright for what's out here, but I think the idea is working. I would probably take it down a little bit. And this one, I so this is what it looks like now. You reduce the light coming in, which is helping a lot, but it still feels like the same light. It's just dimmer. I think what you might need to do is, first of all, I think maybe brighten up or have some light actually pass through this little window here, um, just so you have some source of light because it doesn't look like anything's getting through. And then, so this is what I did here. But you see, when this happens, the source of the light gets smaller, right? So it's not going to look the same. The fall off is going to be different on him. And I think you might have to kind of maybe constrain a light to the door or something like that, that sort of switches between whatever light you have out here and whatever light is coming in through here, to get that to work. This is kind of what, this is maybe not the greatest paint over, but I think the idea was that you want to feel this source being a little bit more localized here, and then when he closes it, it'll really feel like, he's actually closing a door, and different a different quality of light is coming in. But I do like the feeling now that you have of like he's closing the door and it gets darker. I think that's the idea of that is working. It's more about the quality of light that's coming through. And then this one, this is where it feels a little bit odd to me, what I was saying before, where it's so orange on his face, and then you don't see that anywhere else. What I would actually suggest trying is, to me, for this moment, when he sits down at the interrogation table, it feels like that's what should be, you know, that's a whole different lighting scenario, and it should be dramatic. So I like the idea of him, if he's menacing here, to actually have these the lights on the top that are warm currently. I might make those cool, actually, right? Something like, this is your reference here. Maybe it's like this kind of temperature of the windows, but like smaller sources top down. something like this where it's like a top-down light and you let his face kind of be darker. And then maybe I was playing around with maybe you still get kind of a rim from this this window here. If he's playing darker, it's a little bit scarier, I think, for this moment, which is kind of nice for the story here. And you were saying, you're not sure how dark to play things. I think, it is kind of subjective, because however dark a room is in real life, you can crank the exposure up on your camera and it's going to look bright. So I think it's not that it physically needs to be dark. I think it's like about the relationship between the lights and how one light dominates and then the rest kind of falls back, like your main sources. I would say, for that, just look at more reference, like film reference, and see how they balance it, and what looks dark and what looks like what looks bright. But yeah, that would be my suggestion, to sort of take this character darker in this moment, and maybe he's just lit by like an overhead lamp or something, and this goes quite dark here. Again, like if this is not what you had in mind, you don't need to listen to me for this idea, but it's sort of a different idea that I was going for, to support, I think, what I think is your story. But the point of this, whether you do this or not, is to sort of separate this moment and then make the impact of this warm lamp hit harder, right? Because if you have all this warm on him from other sources, this lamp is not going to be as strong of a statement. I think it's going to be more dramatic and stronger if he's in this cool light and then he sits down into this, this lamp that's on the table. So for this one, yeah, I'm like kind of desaturating his face so that as if we have like a cool source from the top, and then just darkening it a little bit. So again, like he has maybe this top-down cool light, and then that keeps this lamp light more separate from what's going on outside of this lamp. And then this one, I think this one works. I think you were talking about not knowing how to make the lamp light quality softer. That's usually like a size thing. So if it's a sphere light, making the sphere bigger will get softer shadows for you. So this kind of mocked it in, and you sort of want to feel like maybe it's closer to the desk. Right now it kind of feels like it's up here, which maybe would be a little high for a lamp, I would think. So I think it would be nice to feel it coming from, maybe down and hitting him there, something like that, to sort of get this sort of menacing directionality feel to it. And then I just, maybe painted some light direction on the desk to sort of have it fall off more into darkness. But yeah, there was a lot of ideas there. I think just thinking through some suggestions, I would say maybe looks through some more reference, some film reference of where you might, specific places that you might want to put light sources, and then really go through each moment here and figure out, what do I want my main source to be? What is each light doing, and where is it coming from? And then you can sort of go from there. But I do think, to me, the important thing here is getting these sources, the lamp and the overhead light, to not get confused. So keeping the overhead light cool, and then keeping the lamp light pretty warm, and then you can sort of will feel that transition better. I know that was a lot. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that makes sense. But let me know if you have questions, and I look forward to seeing some more iterations here. Thanks. This one's from Tessa. So this is something that we talked about, I think, last time. Looks like you put some bloom on here. You lifted a lot of this, which is really nice. I think this is looking good. I think there's just a few things that I tried here that I think could help support this idea here. I think right now, for me, it's feeling nice. You just have to sort of think what you can do to sort of bring the attention even closer to the center frame. So let me show you what I had in mind. I still think this sky color is feeling kind of dark to me for this amount of sunlight. I just went ahead and painted over and brightened it a bit. That's kind of feeling more in the ballpark of where I would expect the sky to be here. And then here I think the ground and the top facing planes can still come up and cool down a bit. Just to feel that sky up there a little bit more. And you can do that. I didn't do it. I didn't brighten up these top facing planes, but you can do it. I think when you get that top down light on here, it'll automatically do that for you, which is nice. And then I did add a little atmosphere. I think you have some, but a little more just to feel that light coming in a little bit more. Hopefully you can see what that's doing here. Just bleeding over a bit. You don't want to go too crazy with it, but I think it helps sort of feel that energy coming through. And then here I was wondering, I was playing around with this. I kind of felt like it felt a little odd that this part of the building is not getting any light, and then this is getting so much light. You know what I mean? So I played around with sort of indicating that it's maybe getting some bounce light or something over here. And, maybe you could even play it on like to feel a little bit of it on this plane or something like that. It might be a little tricky to get that to feel right, but just to feel it in other parts of the image a little bit. I think you don't want to take away from this like major statement here in the middle of the frame, but it does start feeling like this beam of light is like a little bit too isolated from the world, where it starts to feel artificial, like not like sunlight. So maybe look into seeing, I'm not sure what your setup is here, if you have a directional light or a distant light coming through here, but maybe look at it. Maybe look at putting a distant light or directional light here, and then seeing what else it hits, and sort of choosing maybe where to put a little bit more indication of warmth there. I think that might help sort of unify everything, especially those planes that are sort of facing us that aren't obscured by the alley itself. I'm not sure if that's sunlight, but maybe it's hitting that a little bit, which is kind of cool. But yeah, something I think to do with these front planes, seeing what you can get on those might be nice. And then I think I'm a fan of a vignette. I think it just really draws attention away from these bright corners here, and then really draws you towards the middle of the frame. So overall, I think they're not big adjustments. I think it's just you know, balancing out stuff and brightening up the top facing planes a little more, and then just little things to sort of make us pay attention more to this center frame. Um, I think that would help a lot with this. But it's come a long way. I think you've done a great job with the adjustments. So yeah, keep going. Great job. And this last one from Samuel. This is really cool. I really like the adjustments you did. You said you really like these clouds. I like them too. I was just making sure that the intent was to have them like this. But if the intent was to do that, which it sounds like it was, I really like them. I think they're really interesting and unique and like you said, give a real fantasy vibe to this. So I have no problem with you keeping those the way they are. So this is looking really great already. You know, I think the things that I'm going to say are pretty minor, but let me just go through them real quick. So my favorite little strip of light in this image is actually this one. I think it's too big. This right here. I think this looks really nice, this little strip of light. And for whatever reason, on the main building, it doesn't look like the same quality of light that you're getting here. Like it looks a lot more red, and you're not getting this nice like a little bit desaturated and then color fringing to more saturated red on the edges. It just feels a little bit more uniform, like warm red to me. And I think getting that a little bit brighter and trying to get it to feel like this, I think would be pretty cool, to get this sort of desaturated look slightly, and then on the edges get more warm red fringe. I think it's just when it's so saturated like this, it starts to feel like the light is fairly dim, you know, and I think you have room here to brighten it up and really make a bigger statement. It is sunlight, so it's going to be super bright, and yeah, I think just like contrast wise, there's room there to lift this. I think it'll really help, you know, pull the eye here, and make it feel like sunlight. I dimmed down these windows just a bit. You know, these are like the brightest thing in the frame, pretty much, and I don't think you really want it competing with your night here or even this building. It's, I mean, unless they're important windows, but I think they're just windows. So I would take that down however you can, just to bring attention away from it. And then, oh, that's what I just painted. Okay, yeah, these torch lights here, or whatever, lantern lights, that to me they just feel a little bit. I think that's supposed to be the torch light casting light onto this this wall. I think when it's getting hit with the sun like this, you know, there's no way you're going to be able to see that firelight, just because it just can't compete with the sun energy. So to me that felt a little bit distracting. So I just went ahead and painted those out, just to sort of get things to sit a little bit better. The clouds in the back, I think it's a painting or a HDR or something, but I think they could, the parts that are hit by the sun could lift a little bit, just so it feels like, you know, there's the sun is coming through and hitting those clouds back there with the same or similar energy that's hitting this. It's not a ton. I just lifted them a little bit just to get that to marry together a little bit better. And then the last thing is I thought it would be interesting to have like, um, you know, like a, not a flare, but like light leak or like some, you can feel the atmosphere coming through um, on frame right, going right to left. I think it would really just help sort of this really nice regal feel that you have here. Um, yeah, hopefully you can see what I mean. Like it just feels like the sun is has more directionality coming from screen right to screen left, and it really gives more a little bit more movement, I think, um, to the image, and it helps this stuff kind of sit back a little bit. Like you can still see it, but it's just a little more hazed out. But to me, I like feeling the directionality of the light more, and I think it helps with feeling that. But go as far as you think is right for this piece. Um, but yeah, as you can see, like I'm not going crazy with any adjustments. I think it's looking really nice already. I think it's more just trying to figure out ways to sort of focus the image and like strengthen the parts that are already strong with this. Um, but yeah, hopefully that helps. Let me know what you think. I'm looking forward to seeing more. Thank you.